11, the time of Hydra, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 10th anniversary podcast. We're a little behind this week because we were in Japan.
What?
Woo! We're pretending it's April 21st. And on April 21st, 2015, some things are going on. Big news. Huge news. Move over, Uptown Funk, because See You Again by Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth was the #1 song 10 years ago. Uptown Funk had a really good 14-week run, but let me tell you, I'm glad it's over. Those sick of saying the words Uptown Funk. But still, the top movie at the box office, Furious 7. You love to see it. What a picture. Some birthdays. Queen Elizabeth turned 89. Bye. James McAvoy, our own Professor X, turned 36. And one of our favorites from Agatha all along, Patti LuPone, turned 66. But of course, the most important thing that happened on April 21st, 10 years ago, was the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 episode, Frenemy of My Enemy. A mouthful. Aired on ABC at 9/8 Central. Hello, I'm Jamie Jurek, and I'm here with my boyfriend, co-host, and level 2 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, Tony Paletto. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Jamie. It's really, really nice to be back and doing a live episode, jet lagged or otherwise. Really excited to have some people with us in the chat and everything.
Yeah, I'm excited about our guest today because she was with us in Japan. Everyone on our show today, whether it's producer Maria backstage, our hosts, or our guest, we all have jet lag. Give it up for the host of We're Watching What? Dana Han-Klein is in the house.
Hello.
Hey, Dana.
I'm honored to be here for the dethroning of Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars.
They had it coming.
The back in time dethroning of.
Oh, it was only a matter of time. So Dana, how is your jet lag going?
Well, I was perky wide awake at 2 a.m. and then couldn't go back to sleep, but had to be up at 8 a.m. So I'm doing great. How are you two? How are you?
We went to sleep at 8 a.m. So check in with Maria. How you feeling, Maria?
Oh man, I fell asleep at like 4 p.m. yesterday and then went back to sleep at 3 a.m.
So this is either going to be the most low energy pod or like the most chaotic.
The mania
crazy.
Will set in,
yeah.
I think.
I hope it does.
Yeah.
I do too. Oh my God, things are going to get wild. Dana, this is your first time on the show. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So happy to have you. Tell us about your history with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
You did watch the first couple seasons.
Yes, and tapping back into this episode and researching and doing a recaps and trying to figure out like what was going on, I was like, I know academically I have seen up to this point, because I do actually, I'm relieved that we're doing these episodes because I distinctly recall the plot lines with her mother and her father, who I didn't realize was played by Kyle MacLachlan when I watched it 10 years ago, but now I'm like, oh my God, yay. But yeah, so I know academically that I saw these episodes. I was reading the synopses. I was like, I don't know what happened. I do not remember. Like 5% of it stayed in my brain. But this particular episode and this arc is one of the few things I remember. So yes, I'm glad I'm here for this. I made it in time.
Perfect. It is. We're in a really good zone too. I'm excited to talk about this episode. I want to shout out the audience, everyone in the chat who's joining us. It's a random Wednesday. We missed having you the last couple weeks. We were, everything was a little off, but we appreciate you being flexible. There's a bunch of you in the chat right now. Hello. Hopefully some of you are here because you maybe can't join Sundays. So that's exciting. As far as I know, our schedule is normal as of this Sunday. But you know what? Things change. Who can say? But that's what I believe is happening. We also will be doing our Age of Ultron Patreon very soon. When? I haven't figured that out. But it's definitely happening. Okay. I have an echo of myself. Can anyone else hear an echo of me?
No, you sound fine. To my...
Okay. Great. Then it's only my problem.
That's the jet lag. It's just the jet lag.
I can hear my own voice in my head is what's happening. Great. Well, if you guys can't hear it, then I will live with it. This episode, Frenemy of My Enemy. I hate this title. It's really mouthy, and I keep typing it wrong, but that's okay. It was written by Monica Subreen and Paul Zbyszewski. I'm really starting to crush his name. They've done many episodes of the show so far that we've covered. This episode was directed by Karen Gaviola. This was her only S.H.I.E.L.D. episode, but she has done lots of superhero TV, including Gotham, Supergirl, and Gifted. The Boys. So she knows what she's doing. We've got our members back. Fred Dalton is back as Wolf. We've missed him a lot. Well, some of us have. J.R. Peters is back. And more importantly, Henry Goodman is here as Dr. List right before he plays the character again in Age of Ultron. Tony, did you clock him?
Nope. And now that you say it, I totally remember. He's in the opening sequence where they're storming the Hydra Castle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's totally the same guy.
Yeah. Dana, did you clock him? Were you like, oh, that guy's in Age of Ultron?
No, sure did not. Not in any way, shape, or form. But I do remember this era of time because, and this is probably one of the reasons I do remember this block of episodes, is because it was the like tied into Age of Ultron ones, and ABC was like, "You have to watch them." I was like, "Okay, I have to watch them." Like, Marvel says. So I paid attention to these, but clearly not enough to remember that character from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, he's barely in Ultron, but it's interesting that he debuted here in this television program. I'm really excited to talk about Ultron. I hope we get a super fun guest. When I don't have jet lag, I'll figure that out, guys. Dana, so you talked about how you kind of remembered this arc, which is nice because I'm sure it's been a decade. How do you feel about, just like as a fan of television, as somebody who talks about television for your life, how do you feel about this as just an episode of television?
I think this felt like a time capsule and like going back in time for me because we were talking a little bit on the trip. Like, I was like, oh yeah, they packed a lot into hour-long episodes. And that fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. got 22 episodes like a season, I was like, there's so much happening in this. I don't remember a lot of it going in. I do remember some of it. But I think like it was very indicative of the times, and I think, and with no disrespect to the times, but some of the way we moved on and maybe consolidated our seasons a little bit might flow a little better for me. But it was fun to dip back in. I think this episode in particular was a decent balance of, we're throwing a lot of plot at you, but also there's a lot of character stuff happening with the relationship. So I was grateful for that kind of anchor to be like, okay, I remember this. She's got parent orphan issues.
I was watching it and I was worried. I was like, this is like in the thick of it. Is Dana gonna know what's happening? So I'm glad to hear that from you. Tony, what were your general thoughts here?
I like this one. Not one of my favorites. I think we'll get into it more, but it was like some kind of a little convenient plotting happening in like the back half of it regarding the meeting of people looking for temporal displacement magic and people looking for sky that just kind of lined up in a way. I was like, well, all right, that's, but like, I mean, everything's operating nicely in terms of character. We're following through with everything. We're coming down to it. Not one of Coulson's best plans, to be honest. Like from the jump, I was just like, this is doomed. So that's not how I want to feel right now, considering that he's kind of on the chopping block with, technically real shields. So disconcerting in that sense, but I like this episode.
Yeah, for me, it's a mixed bag kind of, because I agree, like the way that like all three kind of groups are coming together is a bit much. I don't understand why Sky calls S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, I think it's as a dumb move. I think that they should have like just sit down and talk to Cal. Like, just have a conversation with him. Like, she's right. This is a stupid plan. But I do love all the scenes between Kyle and Chloe. I love getting to watch them bond a little bit. I think that's really, really great. And but yeah, I agree. There are ups and downs. I'm not with Dana in the terms of I love 22 episodes. I love that we can just do dumb weird shit, and there isn't a lot of dumb weird shit in this one, except for maybe when Lincoln uses his electricity powers to play Go. Okay, bro. I feel like Mark Kolpak was like, "Give me something to do this week." that's what he chose.
Yeah.
All right, so diving into the episode, I love the opening because it's Fitz shaking a tail, but he looks so cute.
I was so proud of him. He was really running. He really ran. He ran his little heart out. You don't see Fitz doing sprints. I said, go boy, go Turbo.
It's so cute. Dana, are you like at this point? Like, obviously, you haven't seen much beyond this. Like, do you have like a strong favorite character of who we're seeing right now?
I mean, I was always a Melinda May person, like hands down. And then the thing that did come back viscerally to me was how much I hate Ward. Like, I was like, oh, this is just this has not dropped at all. I don't even need to remember a single thing he did. Like the punchability of that character, I was like, oh, you're the worst. And then again, cheating and doing all the like synopses, I was like, oh yeah, you're the worst also because you betrayed Melinda May and you do not get to do that in my book. Like that is hard no. That is an absolute not. And like a little kind of like cultural context is, when the show started for me, I was like, ooh, getting to see a character who like the actress is of mixed heritage as the lead character was really exciting for me because, and then we get to see, her fictional parents who are cast like appropriately technically ish but I was like yay, and then I was like oh no, just kidding, Melinda May is my girl. Like that is that character, because I thought I was going to be like a Sky person. No, Melinda May hands down, who doesn't get as much to do in this episode was my only kind of like bummer. But the fact that like Kyle MacLachlan was the guest, I was like okay, that's or the recurring whatever, I was like that's we'll take it
Good enough. Yeah, we are coming off of the week of like of me.
I know hers was
so they're like she had so much to do last week. Let's give her
give her some time.
But so we've got Mike Peterson. Deathlock is back. He's driving the Quinjet. Tony, I know that you felt like you were proud of Fitz for anybody. Anything else about this reunion? Fitz and his friends. Was Coulson and Hunter are their names?
The characters on the show we're talking about, Coulson, Hunter, that's right, and Mike and Fitz. It was nice to see them together again. It wasn't like as sweet and rewarding as, because the best part of it was just the tail end of last episode. Fitz having like a secret conversation in the bathroom, being like, "Can I hang out with you guys?" And they're like, "Yeah, come on over." Like, it's just really cute. But no, it's nice. This is a cool crew, but oh man, they're not operating super great in this episode. It's we'll get into it, but I like them together.
Great Scottish accent, Tony.
Thanks, Jamie.
We've got this nice scene between Cal and Jiang, and I love these two. It's like it feels like they're mom and dad, like it makes me so sad. Like, and there's a lot of, the episode starts with pairings. We get Cal and Jiang, and then we get this like Lincoln and Sky, who God, watching them is like watching vanilla ice cream melt. I'm sorry, like Lincoln just really does.
He's so milquetoast. Like
like he just does, like it's not like his fault. Like he's acting the character as he should be acting the character. I just find him so uninteresting. But I like the scene with Bobby and Mac where it's like an exposition dump, but they get to fight while doing it. And I feel like part of that is because they're like, we need some action in the scene, but it's fun to watch the two of them kind of lay it down. Tony, Bobby seems to be kind of second guessing things. How are you feeling about that whole plot point?
Yeah, no, it tracks. I think I think she and Melinda May are in kind of the same boat of like, well, we kind of do implicitly trust Coulson. We don't think Coulson's a bad guy. May is obviously the more loyal of the two, but I think it's not surprising. I think it tracks that she's having doubts, and Mac as well in his own way. So yeah, I'm happy that the way this episode ended for that reason. You know what I mean?
Dana, do you remember like the real Shield business and like the feelings it evokes? A lot of people are like, this is annoying.
I could not remember. I was like, I know Hydra's here, and then there's triple double. This is the thing about the series. I was like, there were so many double crosses per episode. Like nobody is trustworthy except for Phil Coulson, or is he? And I was just like, I don't remember. But Hydra bad. Ward sucks. Whether or not he's bad or good, I don't care. Yep. It doesn't matter. I just hate him. Everyone else? Question mark. Like that's where I was at.
Fair, and we're in like the thick of that right now for sure.
Yeah,
like everyone's there's so many sides. I just hope that they can all get along soon and nothing ever comes between them again in the next 5 years.
That sounds Likely.
Yeah, like really good TV. Everyone's friends. And never-
It's all just hanging out. It's all just like playing Go with their powers for the next 5 seasons.
Oh God! So Kara gets her faith back. So we had Maya Stoyan on a couple episodes ago, and it was funny because it's such a Kara heavy episode, but she doesn't play her for most of the episode. And I was like, oh wow, she's in this episode way more, even though technically her character has less to do. But let me tell you, when I love Hey Baby and Colton saying Hey Sweetie, and Tony, you got a big laugh out of that.
I wrote it down on mine. Hey Sweetie. Coulson's so funny and dry, and it's we talk about how just Coulson is a sniper of one-liners at all times. I mean, we love Clark Gregg here. He nailed
it. Dana, so Kara and Ward gives me the ick. And Maya was on here saying like she does believe that Kara really truly loved Ward and that Ward loved her. But like watching them together, like I just like it makes my whole body feel weird.
Yeah, I don't think it's her fault. Again, I'm just going to continue to
yeah.
My platform is Ward hatred. And I think just like he has been set up as this character, and from the get-go, even from season 1, when we don't know about whether or not he has to the best of our knowledge, he is a member of the team. Even then I was like, I don't like you. Like you give ick vibe. Now I don't think that precludes him from actually having feelings for Kara, but at the same time I'm like, you are toxic. Like I'm sure their relationship is very toxic, and or he is like a gaslighter or something. I don't know. I just feel like he has done something, or like a love bomber or something in order to trick her into
confirmed gaslighter previously. And watching this for the first time with his relationship with 33 Kara, I don't know what his play is, but it feels like a play. It feels like this is all.
I feel like, and I vaguely recall. I'll be careful what I say here. Like, especially from this episode, it does seem like they genuinely, in this moment, are invested in each other and like where their future plans are going. The thing with the plant was like cute, but also a little hokey.
Yeah.
it all reads as tactics to me. Nothing about what Ward says to her reads as sincere.
From her, you're right. From her side,
from her perspective,
she was just
totally.
like, oh, I liked our home. Like that was like, yeah, I could see that out of this.
Totally.
I would like to say like kind of a middle ground here though, whereas I think Ward does partly believe he loves her, whether or not like because like he's also a big part of Ward's gaslighting thing is he does it to himself constantly. Like he always treats himself as the victim, whether it's his brothers or Garrett or anything. Like I do think that like Ward has convinced himself he does love her. Whether or not he really does, I don't know if he has that kind of capability. There's a lot of Kara Ward comments in the comments. Ryan agrees they're icky. Alice says they're toxic, but it's done well. I agree with that as well. Kayla, like, yeah, it feels gross even if they do love each other. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, yeah, it's gross no matter what. I also want to go back and just acknowledge Shield Vid's comment, which is, I think the real Shield story is needed. Coulson needed to see the other side of his actions. And I actually do agree with that. Like Fury was not often put in check. And I think maybe it's good that Coulson has a little pushback sometimes.
Sure. It's like not necessarily Sokovia Accords level, but oversight is good. Committee is good. That's all cool. Let's get that. That's why I like the way this episode ended. Take me to your leader. Like, let's have a conference now.
Totally.
Yeah. And also him being like, look, I'm willing to play ball. Like I'm here. Yeah.
Only because his mission went totally fucked. That's the other thing.
But he could have been a dick about it, right? He could have like put up a fight, He's like, all right, I've been outplayed. Take me to your leader.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I love defrosted robots coming. Ward be coping. Yeah, respect. You're right.
Ward needs therapy. That's what this is all about. Ward just like a couple sessions with a good therapist, and maybe we wouldn't been in this predicament,
Yeah, just a couple. At
least a few.
Yeah, 1 or 2 sessions, and he'll be right as rain. I hate to like keep talking about Ward, but I do feel like when it comes to his like gaslighting himself and these things, one moment in here that like makes me want to punch him, and Fitz reacts similarly, is when he's like, "Hey Fitz, how you been?" And it's like, how
Motherfucker.
dare you?
Yeah.
This man you gave this man brain damage. The last year of his life has been awful because of you, and he just has no self-awareness of that. And like, what a mistake. And I don't blame Fitz for kind of going off the handle.
To compliment Ian DeCaster, will you say his name for me?
Ian
After you take your drink?
DeCaster.
DeCaster. I was right. All right. When Ward says, "Hey Fitz," Ian looks up at him, not with scorn or anything like that. He was like, his expression read as like, "I'm willing to listen to you for a second." Like, he was a very genuine openness to his response. And then, of course, he burned it down.
We have this. No. So we head to Milwaukee, the dangerous streets of Milwaukee, as Tony pointed out, when like bump into those guys. Like, okay, it's Minnesota, you guys. The Mall of America's right over there. Calm down. I like that we learn a little bit more about Cal, like kind of peeling the onion. Like, he was with Doctors Without Borders. Like, he owned his own office building. Like, he was just this like Mr. Johnson. And it is like, it's sad. Well, Cal is such a tragic character. And so, Dana, you clearly are a Kyle fan.
Love him. Yeah.
I almost used you have a photo with him, which I'm so jealous.
I do. Yes. Yeah.
I almost used that as the photo of like, one of these two people is going to be on the pod.
I know. People would be so disappointed. Yeah. We're like, it's not Kyle.
Too many people were like, because I waited so long to get a guest this week. People like, I had a lot of people being like, "Oh, who's the mystery guest?" Like, we have a great guest. No, Dana's a great guest, but she's not Kyle.
No, I am not. Yeah, that would have backfired in a Coulson-esque way potentially.
Oh.
But yes, big Kyle fan. Again, almost sad because I like didn't come to Twin Peaks until a few years after I saw the show. So at the time I was just like, it's the guy from Sex and the City, which is
nice.
Still it is his role, but now there are so many other things Lynchian things I wish I'd identified him with. But it was exciting to get to revisit.
Peak chat, tell me in the comments if you're my age and your introduction to Kyle MacLachlan was the Flintstones, because that was absolutely my first for him. Tony, tell me a little bit about how you're feeling about these like father-daughter scenes and how friggin' heartbreaking they are,
and how the internet killed video stores and ice cream stores.
Yeah, I'm feeling that.
Yeah,
feeling that just as a person who's 36, I feel that. But I really like it. It feels like we're really arriving at something where this cheeseball guy, this cheesy dad it's like if John from Garfield was a psychopath. Like that's kind of the impression.
First of all, what do you mean if? He was. I categorize him in.
I'll put it this way: it's as if psychopathic John from Garfield was actively violent.
There we go.
That's the impression that he's giving. But no, it really does feel like he opened up a lot in this episode. He seems like a completely clear character because all of his chumminess and all of that vibe really kind of found a home. And here in Milwaukee, getting ice cream with his daughter, we're getting to see exclusively one part of it, where typically that cheeriness is usually ironic because of all of the strange and violent things he's doing. In this case, it's really isolated, and so it did feel sad. Just like, oh no, this is just like at some point he was just this kind of corny, nice guy. So I liked it very much, and I really was happy to see that Sky's method wasn't to just hang out with her dad, that she was like, okay, as soon as he goes into the convenience store, call S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm not sure I agree with the plan to that extent, but I was kind of disturbed by her being like, no, I really do just want to spend a day with my dad. So nice for her to still be forward thinking.
That's fair. We've also got a lot going on with May and Gemma. May tells Bobby that Gemma swapped the boxes. May, okay, I know that we all agree that Real S.H.I.E.L.D. has an okay purpose and we don't hate them, but I have mixed feelings about what May's doing in this episode. Dana, as the May stan, where do you stand with her actions this episode?
I didn't like this arc for May, and I do not
Mm.
like this arc for May, even though, I think she's going by the moral compass that we have seen from her the entire time. I don't feel like it's a break in character, but I do feel like I given how much time we've already spent with her, I'm like, no, use more like have more agency here, be an agent of Shield and like ask more questions. I feel like maybe she has just been kind of, I don't know if just like towing the party line is the right thing. And obviously the betrayal of all the things of Shield, Hydra, etc., like shakes her to her core. But at the same time, I'm just like, too complicated. Just like trust your gut more and like go with action, as opposed to all the second guessing and then the like, it's not Fury-esque behavior, but it kind of feels like Shades of Fury, right? Where it's just like siloing and then behaving in an operational way that maybe like actually would have benefited from bringing people in and all that type of stuff. So it's not my favorite of her moments. And yeah.
Yeah. Tony, what do you think?
I feel similarly, but there's also this one tiny detail. I don't know if you would remember this, Dana, or read about it or anything, but like at the end of the previous episode, Edward James almost essentially offered May a position on the board, giving her, essentially offering her a promotion that would give her the opportunity, if she took it, to have influence and potentially protect Coulson and the others. So towing the party line, yes, but also now she's in this position, even though it wasn't really addressed in this episode, the whisper of it is that like there is an opportunity for her to be a diplomat regarding these two things. So I don't like seeing her not on my team, which she really isn't in this episode, but I see where she's at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get where she's feeling, like a little burned by Coulson about not knowing what this secret operation we keep hearing about. When we had DJ Doyle on last week, he kept apologizing for how many times he was Operation Theta. My brain's not at full capacity right now, but I do feel like though her thing has always been trusting Coulson, and so to see her kind of question it makes me a little sad. But I think that's also, you shouldn't follow anyone blindly. So I think we're all kind of on the same page here. Meanwhile, this whole plan that Coulson's got to get Ward to find Bakshi, to send him in to meet Liz with Deathlock as his bodyguard. There's so many factors here that I'm like, okay, whatever.
Bad plan.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And then Bakshi offers Deathlock. That's part of the plan, but apparently Coulson didn't really know that. And then of course Ward says, "Trust me," and Coulson's like, "I should shoot you for just saying that." Like the whole thing is sloppy. Like I do like I love when like an early season villain eventually teams up. Like the best example is Spike from Buffy, is one of my favorite characters of all time. But like Ward just ain't there. He's just he
no, there's been no redemptive arc. He's still in he's still an asshole. I mean, he'll always be an asshole, but he's still like we're fresh off of a burn, Like,
yeah.
Don't trust him.
Yeah, we don't really know, as I've said many times, and I'm interested in this because, I hate Ward too, but I'm interested to know what his play is. We don't know enough about that to even begin to invite him into this scenario. But honestly, I mean, I was kind of just with Fitz when it's Bakshi and Ward sitting on a plane, going on a mission with the team, and Fitz is like, "What the fuck?" Like, that's just how I feel.
There are some fun little Marvel Easter eggs in here beyond just list is here. We hear the term quantum entanglement, and this is interesting because this is pre Ant-Man, so we don't really have the quantum realm yet. And so I was like, we just watched this episode a couple hours ago, and I was trying to think what does this mean in the context of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the word quantum. I don't have an answer right now, but did you, Tony, clock?
No, I thought I didn't clock it in connection with Ant-Man, but I did, that word did light up in my mind of being like, oh, we're talking about something that we haven't necessarily gotten into in this show. And it makes sense. I'm glad that Fitzy figured it out. Because he's like, they got to be talking about the teleporter. But no, I wouldn't expect that at this point that was anything related to the future of the MCU in terms of like writing ahead of yourself.
Yeah. Dana, did you have any thoughts on this? Did you clock the word quantum?
I did very much, because I was just like, what movies came out that year? Like, what Marvel movies came out that year? Because I forgot that Ant-Man does come out a few, weeks, months later, question mark? I think it's in 2015, right?
I think Ant-Man. Wait.
Yes, Ant-Man is 2015.
Right. It is 2015.
Yes. And so
Ultron's first, because we're like a week away
yes.
from Ultron. So I don't remember the exact date of Ant-Man releasing. I do remember that I don't know. I don't remember where
Ant-Man comes out in July in 2015. And so, obviously didn't know it at the time that it was going to mean something, but I was like, that's a really interesting thing to allow to be said, knowing that, oversight teams generally had some, I would guess, visibility into this, that like the quantum realm was about to become like the thing du jour of Ant-Man. And that is one of the really fascinating things, I think, in like a historical context for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the number of like phrase Inhumans, and I don't think we ever say mutants on it because there was still like the Fox days of whatever, but just the Kree and all this stuff, like all of these things were in the show well before you heard them, and yet it's still canonical, so it's just like, what's going on here? Like, do they know about Ant-Man before we knew about Ant-Man? That's I didn't think it was like super related, but I was like, that is fascinating that they let them use that phrase knowing where Ant-Man was going.
And an interesting thought too is like, it's no secret that my least favorite Marvel movie takes place in the quantum realm, and I Quantumania.
I was like, is it Quantumania?
I really dislike that movie. But what's funny is a big or part of that movie is MODOK. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. almost used MODOK. They had permission to use MODOK, and then it was rescinded. And it makes me mad because they would MODOK in the hands of Jedmo, I think, would have been amazing.
They fucked up MODOK so bad in that movie, but we don't need to talk about it.
I do love the MODOK show, though. I probably might.
That's a good show. Yeah.
Where I was just like, this is perfect for what it should be, and just like his family life and all that, like really random. And also starring S.H.I.E.L.D. alum Patton Oswalt. So it's just
that's right. Yeah, multi-time S.H.I.E.L.D. alum.
Yeah. Speaking of S.H.I.E.L.D. alums, I have a really fun thing to share about Tony and my personal life, but I'm going to leave that as a tease, and we're going to take a quick 30-second break. We'll be back. Welcome back to Love in the Time of Hydra. We're here with our friend Dana talking Frenemy of my enemy. And I'm sorry about the echo. I'm still hearing it. Maybe it's my brand new headphones. We'll figure it out. But not right now because we're in the middle of recording an episode. So we were just talking about Quantumania. And Quantumania features the actor Katie O'Brien. And fun fact, this is a little, I gave Tony a little spoiler. Katie O'Brien shows up in season 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Tony and I are adopting 2 kittens found by Katie O'Brien's wife. So our 2 new kittens have a weird connection. They have lived at the house of an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actor.
Those kittens are going to be jacked.
Those kittens are already only on a diet of like protein and creatine and like all that stuff.
That's right. Yeah, they're serious.
You guys, if you follow our personal accounts, you're about to see so much kitten content. It's going to be disgusting.
If you haven't been already.
Yeah. I also, I really wanted to name one kitten after a Cher character, and it ended up being Loretta. But I was close to pushing Ruby, which is her name in Mamma Mia 2, but it's also the name of an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. character in season 5. And I almost pushed for that, but it's just, ultimately the Italian name won out. But we can talk about cats all day. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about some more interesting connections. A funny thing, Sky's little hula girl. Like she finds one on her dad's desk, and she's like, I had one of these. I don't know if you guys remember, but in WandaVision, when Darcy was driving that like ice cream truck or whatever she was driving Vision around in the Modern Family episode, there was a hula girl on the dashboard, and S.H.I.E.L.D. fans like freaked out. We were all like, oh my god, is this a connection? Which is so stupid because those are just common. But we would
just common.
Any crumbs we can get. And the hula girl in WandaVision was like a big moment for us.
I'm sorry that didn't work out for you.
You know, what can you do? Also, Sky learning her full name. She knew Daisy, but Daisy Johnson. Tony, how you feeling about Daisy Johnson?
Yeah. I mean, I knew she was Quake the whole time, so I kind of...
That's not true, Dana, just to get you up.
I don't even need you to catch me. I was like, just based on the giggle afterwards.
Yeah, that's great. That's a cute name. I don't know. She'll always be Sky to me. We'll see how that sticks. But yeah, I good for her.
All right. So we have the big showdown at Cal's office. This poor man is what I wrote in my notes. Okay. Why is Lincoln, who they send to tail? This man's a doctor. He's not like of all the people, like send Gordon, he can bounce around. Like I just feel like they're like, oh, we need this guy that this guy's flirting with.
I don't know. Lincoln, you guys were talking about him earlier. Am I? Maybe you don't have to answer this, but like I just feel like 2 episodes ago, we got a moment where Lincoln, at the very least, had a very menacing look and cueing me to mistrust him. And so I don't know what's going on here. He maybe have a little crush on Sky. I don't like this character very much. He's yet to do anything that makes him functional or interesting yet. So yeah, it's if and then he does this thing where like he grabs Sky out of the way and she kind of lands on top of him. And it's that kind of like oopsie, close touching, sexy moment. I'm like, fuck off with all this. I'm not biting what you're, baiting me with. So I just don't like it.
I wrote in my notes, okay. Did you cringe at that one, Dana?
The chemistry casting across the board on this show, I'm sorry, is like one of, I think, the weaker points. Just at least thus far. And any implied romantic chemistry. Not necessarily like, a collegiate or all that type of stuff, but like anytime that you're supposed to be like, oh, he's a cute boy her age-ish, I think. Like they're both attractive and they should like each other. I'm always like, I don't no.
I will say that it gets better. Because you haven't seen we're Tony's gonna leave the room today. I've decided. Debated there, but we are gonna have him leave the room. I will say one point for Lincoln in this episode. I do like the way he electrocuted Deathlock up into the air. I thought that was kind of cool.
And he's like, what are you? It's just like, oh.
Look at me. I'm a cyborg.
I'm a robot man. Yeah. Like, what do I look like? I'm not hiding anything.
Oh, I must say, though, the best laugh for me this entire episode, we haven't talked about it, but it wasn't, I don't even think it was intended for a bit, but like Deathlock arrives to meet the team in like a Volvo sedan, and just the idea of his blocky ass like just driving a regular car and pulling up to the thing and like getting out like RoboCop.
It's a really very reliable vehicle.
It's clearly if it's good enough for Deathlock. Yeah.
He's not taking chances.
He's been through enough.
The Colton sees Sky, which is like kind of a sad moment because they almost reunite, but Gordon grabs them. Hunter is hurt. And then we have the final I want to punch word moment where he goes, "You're called boss," when he calls Coulson boss, and that makes me want to punch somebody. That's all. Any thoughts, Dana, on how this episode culminated?
I mean, I'm glad that we're finally resolving the let's all just meet. Like, let's just get in a room and meet. Like, I think if I recall the season, like part of the reason that so much of it just like disappeared out of my brain is because all the crosses, double crosses, like having to go together, and it's like eventually you're just like, I can only live in the moment, I guess, of what's happening here. I am sad for the like familial relationship that is, because I don't know, Kyle MacLachlan is so sweet in this episode, and you're just like, I see he's trying so hard, and for a character who has been so desperate to find her parents, and like that has been her motivation, to like have him actually be the one trying. Yes, I know he's nuts in the other episodes and stuff. Like I know, but this episode he's not. It's a little sad to have that like fall apart. And then again, when Tony leaves, I'm just like, yeah, knowing where the rest of that storyline goes. But yeah, I think this is like we're on the precipice, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's episode 18 as well, so we're like almost at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then of course, in the post-credit scene, Coulson turns himself in. Tony, how do you feel about where the way this all wraps up?
I like it very much. I wanted Edward James Olmos to have been a little more inviting when he made his Shield's presence known to our team. So now we finally have an opportunity here to have a sit down. Should have been handled this way to begin with. But again, the only reason we're doing this is because Coulson's got no more cards to play. This is the second time he's been this close to having Skye back, and he lost her the exact same way. So this is the first time in this show where I've just actively thought Coulson did a bad job. Because a lot of the times he takes huge swings, and they pay off because of his compassion and all these other factors that people aren't taking into consideration. The value that he has for human life and all this. This is one where it was just a bad idea, and I don't think the show is playing it that way. I don't think the show is aware of how it is giving it the consideration of how bad the idea of a planet was. So on the weaker end in that regard.
Fair. Before we move on, Dana, was there anything about this episode that you wanted to comment on or that we didn't talk about?
I think no. I mean, I honestly like. I love seeing Jiaying in this, in any episode, and like seeing. Again, I got like the tail end of like the dinner bit from the last one, and then into this, I'm just like, oh, this is like a messed up family unit to the max. And I'm like, but it's great. I was like, this is great. Like this is stuff. And also, I'd forgotten that it was Deacon Lockman of Severance, but also of like all the other, but she was Dollhouse, right? Yes. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's nice to see some of the players from these other projects. I was like, I forgot how many people were in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So to see her get like a moment and have like a good moment, I was like, yeah,
it is. We're only a few weeks away from finishing the season, which means we're probably gonna start Dollhouse soon. We got to finish Firefly first, but there's only a few episodes. I feel like before the summer is over, Tony will have seen some Dollhouse, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah. The other thing the obsession with like memory wipes and this is a segue into Dollhouse, obviously, like it's just, I was like, oh my God, how much do they rely on the ability to wipe people's memories on like this show and like Joss Whedon shows and all this other stuff. I was just like, dang, really enjoys a memory wipe.
And then Deacon's still doing that shit on Severance,
That's true. Yeah, she just can't be allowed to remember.
Tony, was there anything else for you about this episode?
No, I think I said all my bits.
Great. We do a thing now where we pick an episode MVP. So take a minute to think about it. Tony, do you have an episode MVP?
What are the criteria?
Nothing.
Whatever you want them to be.
It can be an actor, it can be a character, it can be a hairbrush. There are no rules.
Yeah, it's gonna be Kyle MacLachlan for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's because as I said, we get to see we just get to see the chipper old dad character without all of the ugliness at the forefront of that. So Kyle, for sure.
Yeah, it's Kyle for me too, and the chat seems to be agreeing. Dana, are you on the Cal train, or do you have a different
I was going to
answer?
say yes on the Kyle train. And also
Yeah.
because, seeing him in this role and then seeing him in something like Fallout more recently, I'm just like, oh, this was always there. It was always there. I mean, we all knew it was always there, but some of if you look at like the Lynchian stuff, this is actually like a weirdly softer, performance.
Yeah.
And there's obviously messed up aspects to it. But then seeing something like Fallout, which is like a really good parallel to this, I was like, oh yeah, you're pro at you're old hat at this.
He's really good.
He's dad really business. Good. He's also playing an interesting dad in that show. So a little bit of history. Jeffrey Bell did an interview about this episode, and I think it's a good tease for Tony for the final four. He says this episode really sets up nicely the final four, which I think kind of move like a train. If you had gone to see a 22-hour movie, this sort of launches us into Act 3, where everything starts coming together. So I just think that's a fun, exciting thing. We are really about to fucking move. When I say season 2 is like my second favorite season, a lot of it has to do with how they wrap shit up in the next 4 episodes. So it's gonna be, we are in it now, and that's exciting. As you know, right now, this season we've been doing the Art of Initiative, Art of Evolution. This week's poster was done by illustrator and story artist Nathan Fox. This is kind of a chaotic one. I like the colors a lot.
Yeah, I like the rendering. I think this is we got Bakshi. Oh yeah, okay. I like it.
Yeah, I like the Deathlock in the back.
Deathlock looks dope. Yeah.
He looks really good.
Really cool.
Anytime that there is allowed a little bit of creative license, whether it's how he's visualized in the show or how he's visualized in poster art for the show, it harkens back to what Deathlock looks like in the comics, and it makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Maria, for the poster. Okay, I think we are going to kick Tony out this week because there's some things I want to.
I know there's some things I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to ruin it for
Tony. Dana, and just in case anyone is leaving with Tony, why don't you plug your business? Where can people find you?
Yes, so I have a podcast as well. It's called We're Watching What. You can find us on YouTube and also any of the audio podcast platforms. We do interviews and reviews. You two, I'm going to hold you publicly accountable, are coming on for an Andor episode to be determined which Andor episode. But it's a lot of fun.
Amazing. Yeah, I was on for Agatha, and that was
you were on for Agatha. One. Also, I love that you said it with the inflection correctly because We're watching what?
I know what's up. Tony, do you want to say your thank yous?
Yeah, let's say some thank yous. Thank you to Stephanie at Eclectic Muses on socials for doing our artwork. Thank you to Ryan Miera of Yellow Pills at Yellow Pills Music on Instagram for doing our music. Thank you to our producer, Maria. Thank you, producer Maria.
You're welcome.
And thank you to first-time guest and new friend, Dana.
Yeah, once we go to Disney and Japan together, that's
really proud of us because we were like untested, and going to any Disney with someone can be danger. And I was like, wow, we actually did really, really well without any coordination. Like we were on the same page.
Fortunately, we were all down with drinking, so it worked.
Oh yeah.
We have fun.
Part of it, yes.
Yeah. A reminder to follow us at Legopod on Instagram and Blue Sky. Keep an eye out to find out who our next guest is when the Ultron episode
could be Kyle MacLachlan. Who knows?
Calm down. And subscribe, all that business. If you're watching along with Tony, get the fuck out. Tony, get the fuck out.
I gotta leave the room. I'm leaving the room.
Oh, he's gone.
Okay, I didn't want to fuck it up, but just like the downfall of this family unit is the thing I remember. And also the kind of like sanctuary plot line of Jiaying, like that is something that stuck in my head, and just the willingness to include Inhumans and, like Terrigenesis and all that stuff. I was like, oh my God, they're going there. And so where we're about to go is the other thing that I remember being like, I did it on S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, the fact that Jiaying kind of ends up being the big bad of the season, like, is just it is pretty tragic.
Yes, and we saw a hint of it here. Like we saw the crack started to, like her being tired of him, and I was just like, ooh.
And it's funny because I've been calling her Sky so much for Tony's benefit. And he even said today, she'll always be Sky to me. And it's like, no, we give it a year, he'll be calling her Daisy. That's just like how it works.
Although the least fitting name, it feels like, in the world. I was like, oh, what?
You just get, like, at first it is weird. It doesn't seem right. But then like by the time you're on season 4, you can't like picture anything else. And I almost flipped today. For the first time, but like he knows it, but like he doesn't know that she is going to start being called Daisy down the line. But it is funny. And I don't know, do you know who she ends up with at the end of the series?
I don't.
Do you want that spoiler? Do you think
I
you'll
do
watch?
Want that spoiler? Yeah, no, I want the spoiler. I could barely get through 2 seasons of synopses. I was like, I don't think I think there's a reason I tapped out eventually.
Did you watch Agent Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah, they travel, they time travel and pick up Sousa, and she ends up with him. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's like genuinely perfect. It was such a big swing because they do it with like 7 episodes of the series left, and it worked. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
I was like, you may have found a way to convince me to go through the rest of this.
It's like Tony doesn't know this, but it's the only reason I made him watch Agent Carter for those podcasts, because you have to love Sousa. It's like, it really is like, I'll never get over how perfect it was that they did that, because like, what a swing. It's amazing. Also the chat has been debate. Like, my favorite character comes into season 5, so you don't know him either, which is Deke. And a lot of the people in the chat hate him. And I'm sorry, guys, but when season 5 comes around, you're gonna hate me, because I fucking love the man so much. But he has a crush on Daisy, which I don't ship them. But yeah.
Is he like a Ward-esque level character? Like,
no, nothing. Okay. He's a goofball. He's very silly, and he's from the future. So
of course,
it gets real sci-fi. And I just find him so funny and so charming. But I do agree with the chat that like him and Daisy were never a good.
Well, I think even the Lincoln stuff was just like, we're forcing it. It just doesn't. Again, not to like, no disrespect to the actors, but I'm just like, this doesn't read the way I think you're trying to imply that you want us to read it. And we need to believe that in order for everything to play out, how it's going to play out. But the other thing I remember distinctly about this episode arc, like I was saying, and then I guess because we're not quite at Ultron having come out and like the big tie-ins and them being like, you have to watch S.H.I.E.L.D. for Ultron to make sense, which is a dirty lie. Like, you absolutely don't. But there was like, 2 Easter eggs and the Quinjet stuff that I was like, when the Quinjet lands in this one, I was like, oh yeah, you did get a little bit of budget, like they did throw you some bones every once in a while. Like hard surface model landing, you're allowed to have
some stuff. Well, next week at the end of the episode is the helicarrier reveal. That's what Coulson's been working on. So it is like, and it's I would say it's one of the last really big tie-ins for the movie. Like, small things, of course, throughout, and then it goes off the rails after season 5. But that's such another conversation. Love the chat is still debating Deke, and it's just an ongoing thing with the fandom. Some people hate him, some people love him, and that's just the way it is. But you're a One Piece fan, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've mostly through Netflix, so I'm not. I've not seen 1,000 episodes.
So the actor who plays Deke plays the clown guy on One Piece.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know that show. I have not seen it, so I don't know the character's name. But
I don't either. But you could say the clown guy, and I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
Wow.
You might be convincing me to like continue with this. This might be the thing somehow.
It would be good for us, because then you can keep coming back on the podcast.
I know.
This is a thing with a lot of guests. A lot of guests are like, oh, I stopped in season 3. And it's like, okay, well, who are we going to have on this podcast?
And it's what I was like, I was so relieved watching this episode, because I was like, I know I have seen this. I know I don't remember it very well, but I was like, I know I've seen this, because I know I saw the arc where she met her parents, and we see obviously the betrayal effectively of her parents, and then their betrayal of each other and all that stuff. And I was just like, and also it was one of those points in the show where I was like, okay, this was like her impetus for being. Where are we gonna go with this from here? Like, and clearly the inclusion of her powers and all this stuff, it continues onwards. But I was like, this was this was the mystery for a really long time, and you've already taken care of it in season 2.
Yeah, a lot. Like it's, and I think that's why for me, season 3 is my least favorite season, because they have to kind of figure out where to go from there.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people agree with that. I know we have a lot of season 3 lovers, but to me, it's like I'm just waiting for season 4. Season 4 is my second favorite season of television after Angel season 5. So that's all I have to say about that. I talk about that a lot, and I'm going to keep talking about it a lot. A lot of Tony Leaves the Room is just me being like, oh, like I can't. Like when we were I was at Star Wars Celebration, I saw Manny Jacinto do an interview, and I was like, his wife is in the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but she plays Daisy's sister from like another alternate reality.
I thought you were going to say from another mister, and I was like,
no.
Okay.
I think they do only share a mother, to be fair. But
another
like,
mister, yeah.
It's so complicated, and it's like I can't. There's no way to explain it to Tony. But
yeah,
but
I mean,
we'll get there.
I commend you for having stuck with it like the first time around, because I think one of my challenges, and this is something that I don't know if like other folks are feeling, and at this stage in Marvel, especially not the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stage, but like actually maybe that was the origin of it. I was starting to feel like overwhelmed by the number of things you had to keep track of, right? Because it was like you had to keep track of the movies, and now you had to keep track of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think again after season 2 they realized we can't force people to do that, but they didn't fully realize because we're still getting 20 bajillion things, and there are entire seasons of like Disney Plus Marvel shows that I'm like, oh yeah, I did watch that. Clearly, maybe I have a memory issue. I acknowledge that. That's quite possible. But there's a fatigue. Like this is the beginning of the ramp, like the saturation and fatigue. But like this is right before. Like these, especially these 2 seasons, I think are like safe.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Like, when are you seeing Thunderbolts?
Monday, the 28th.
Me too. We'll probably be at the same screening.
No, I'll be in San Francisco. Sorry for the admin stuff, everyone. Yes. Yeah. I know.
But I just feel like I'm hoping Thunderbolts is going to be a bit of the excitement level we need to build us up to Fantastic Four, because like I didn't really like the new Cap, and it's just like we need a push, and I'm really hoping Thunderbolts it does that.
Yeah, and like I absolutely adored Agatha, and I think the reason that I adored Agatha is because I didn't need it for other things, as far as we know so far. And even if we did, I'm like, that's fine because I loved Agatha. But you needed WandaVision, you needed like a handful of things, but it also felt very self-contained, and like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., especially in the later seasons, effectively become self-contained because again, like I was saying, like they mention all these things that like the movies are also doing, but on a different scale. And you're just like, how are it's like the Klingons of Star Trek of old, where you're just like, how did that Klingon become that Klingon? And like every once in a while they'd acknowledge it, they'd be like, we don't talk about the latest way they tried to acknowledge it. But yeah, I was thinking back and I was like, oh man, this was like, at least there was only one show. And then and that we're just in the new universe,
except for when they tried to make the Inhuman show happen, but that I didn't even. Yeah, we'll probably do that on our Patreon too because I've never seen it. But man. we're not there yet. We are not there yet.
You have many a season of S.H.I.E.L.D. to go.
Any other final thoughts before we say goodbye?
I can't wait to watch Tony's reaction to Jia Ying's reveal and betrayal, and like I'm very excited to witness.
Me too. Every time we move the needle a little, it's exciting for me because like I feel like my whole life is tiptoeing around S.H.I.E.L.D. spoilers, so it's always nice when a piece is revealed. Tina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Extra special to you, to Maria, to Tony, to me, because we are all definitely struggling with
bananas right now. Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, this went better than I thought it would in my own personal brain. Like how I would be speaking out loud. I thought I'd be like, blah, blah.
We'll watch this back less tired, and we'll have to determine whether or not I'm just like Kyle MacLachlan on a loop. Yeah. My answer to everything, Kyle MacLachlan. But honestly, I would answer that anyway.
I also want to shout out just the chat. We had a really poppin' chat today. Thank you guys so much for joining. We love you guys. We love the discussion. I like watching you debate about things like Deke because it's all in good fun. No one's being mean to each other, and that makes me happy. Again, we're back on Sunday for the next episode. which is going to be really fun. I hope I can't wait to find out who the guest is going to be. We'll find out soon, and we'll tell you all on the internet. And Dana, the chat loves you, and they want you to come back. So that means you have to continue watching S.H.I.E.L.D. And, goodbye, everybody. Thank you again.